Excellent. I don't know if you heard that. AOL Instant Messenger like voice saying recording in progress. So my name is Tom Mulaney. I'm actually coming to you from lovely Hillsborough, North Carolina, but I am originally from New York and spent most of my adult years in Philadelphia, thereabouts. My background is actually in special education. I was a special education teacher for 10 years and then moved over to middle and high school social studies, followed by some ed tech consulting. I will give you these slides so you will be able to contact me, because you'll see it on slide 3. You have my contact information. Feel free after our session, say, hey, I was in your session on including learners with Google Workspace, a follow-up question, and I'm happy to converse about this stuff. I really enjoy this stuff. All right. This is part of a partnership, the Dell Texas Learning Network, a partnership between Dell and Advanced Learning Partnerships. And I come to you through Advanced Learning Partnerships. At Advanced Learning Partnerships, our values include perpetuating trust, cherishing the value of people, realizing opportunity, and serving with gratitude, which I have to tell you, in this year of the pandemic and all this stuff, and I'm just able to be here in my basement, playing around with educational technology, playing around with Google Workspace, and getting to broadcast out to teachers. That was amazing. So I am very, very grateful for the ability to do this. And let's just do a quick session outcome. And your outcome is this: participants will use the features of Google Workspace to design inclusive learning experiences for all students. With that, let me drop the link to the slides in the chat. You may notice a little something interesting at the top of my Google Slides. You'll understand that in just a minute, or well, later in our session anyway, not just a minute. But so we click in the chat, we type slides. If I have any latecomers, I will do that again, just so you know. So I apologize in advance. All right, let's do a little framing for our session today, shall we? So I always address technology inequity because there are real equity concerns, not only because we're in the United States of America in the year 2021, but because technology is an accelerant. All right, you give your students devices and it will make equitable teaching even more inclusive. It'll make oppressive teaching all the worse. You can use the technology to say, hey, students, I'm going to use this technology to give you multiple ways to learn, give you multiple ways to show what you've learned, and try some of the tricks that Tom Mulaney showed me in the webinar. Or you can use it to say, hey, everyone's got a device. You're going home. You're doing 2 to 3 hours of homework a night because you have the technology to do it, right? Those are 2 very different approaches to technology. And I ask and I beg of you, please be equitable when using technology. I'd also ask, please don't make them simply a $300 pencil. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Are students being creative? Do students have multiple opportunities to learn? And can students easily access work and materials? And I'd really ask you, I'd say the last 2 bullet points are what we're really going to talk about tonight, especially that part about accessing materials, right? Being able to look at things that you've created for them and really get the most out of them. And a little bit the World Wide Web. We'll talk about that a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's talk about some general Google Workspace tips. These are, I'm not connecting to a specific app just yet. So these are just kind of general tips for teachers who want to be inclusive with technology. And by the way, as we go, feel free, ask a question. If you want to drop in the chat, if you want to interrupt me, we only have 45 minutes, but yeah, I could probably take a question or 2. And I'll try to save some time at the end for questions as well. All right, so the first and foremost is there's a font in Google Docs, Drawings, Sheets, Slides, and Sites there, because now we have custom fonts and sites. Unfortunately, we don't have custom themes yet, but we have custom fonts. It's called Lexend, and it's actually a font family, and there's 8 varieties. Plain old Lexend, Lexend Deco, which is kind of the one I like the most, all the way down to Lexend Z. And what they are fonts that have been researched to improve reading speed. And I've linked to some information there to help you with that. By the way, I'm going to do this. I'm going to catch myself. I have an agenda for you all, so let me give you the agenda as well. Sorry about that. I meant to include that too. So let me drop that in, and this links to the slide. So here I'm going to do our agenda. Sorry about that, because this lays out kind of links to all the things I'll show you. So it's pretty useful. And with that agenda, I would say here, I have a little open preview. So if you have the slides open and you don't want them open, it's a really nice, I like these previews now in Google Workspace and Google Docs that you get these little previews, so you can do that. I suggest using that with your students, so students can kind of view more than one thing at one time without having to split the windows on their screen, or without having to have multiple tabs open. As we know, see my tabs here, having a ton of tabs can sidetrack students for sure. And then here I have links to videos, materials, websites that will help, after the session. You may not want to go through all the slides, but this is, 1 page of notes, 2 pages of notes. So that will be, I hope, useful to you. All right, with that, let's get back to our session here. So the idea behind Lexan fonts is, hey, maybe we can help readers learn and understand more if we address certain things with font. And they did that, and they came out with these varieties. And if you notice, as you go down, they get a little flatter and they get a little more spaced out, don't they? I like to say the Lexan Zeta is socially distancing. It's 6 pixels apart. And yeah, that joke might have been a little bit better, a year ago. But anyway, and I don't know if they're 6 pixels apart. Maybe they are. I don't know. So anyway, try them with your students. See what they're most comfortable with. I particularly like Deca because it has a little boldness to it. And it actually looks like the Google logo font to me a little bit. That kind of does, but anyway, it's not intentional. Lexan fonts actually predate the 2015 Google logo redesign. All right. The other thing I would say is, please, whenever and I don't care if you're in a Google Workspace app or you're in an LMS, if you ever are making a material for students or you're spelling out directions for students, please, if you find yourself using an Oxford comma, well, hey, great. The grammar police are going to love that, right? You're following the rules. But having said that, it is so much easier for your students to read and consume and digest the text if they are looking at a bulleted or numbered list. And I have a little demonstration of that there. I hope that makes it clear how much easier it is to read a bulleted list than a long sentence with an Oxford comma. So please take advantage of bulleted and numbered lists, which you can find in docs, drawing sheets, slides, and sites too now with the rich text editor, but we can confirm that later. All right, the other thing I want to show you is something called alt text. And we've seen, I know a lot of people are not big fans of remote learning right now, but we've seen that we can do it. It's something that I did back in my day in my classroom. I had kids with concussions from sports or mono, and I taught them without ever meeting them if it happened at the beginning of the semester, which actually did happen for me a couple of times. So I could definitely see a situation where you have a student learning remotely, or maybe learning in person and then going home and using a screen reader. And a screen reader, if you've never been read to by a screen reader, it's not perfect. A screen reader would read, let's say the screen reader starts with this third line, add alt text in Google Sites. Then the screen reader is going to come on this image and it's going to not know what to do. And what you can do to tell the screen reader what to tell the student is right click on the image and click this alt text. And there you put a title and you put a description. And that's how you tell screen readers what you intend by an image. The other thing I'll point out is that this text right here links to a video. And in the agenda, can I bring up the agenda real quick? Pretty sure I have that video linked right here, okay? And by the way, those previews I showed you earlier, they apply to YouTube videos too. Oh, it's true. I love that feature. Oh my goodness. And I can watch that video and I can type in here as well. Look at that. My point there is that the screen reader will read this, add alt text to Google Docs, slides, and drawings. But if I put the URL, and I'll copy that, and if I put that in as text, the screen reader would literally read https://y. Oh, you don't want to do that to anybody. And honestly, these links don't look good. They're not appealing to the eyes. So when you have a URL, you hyperlink it. All right, just to be inclusive and to be more visually appealing all of your kids. So that's why these are linked text, not hyperlinks. All right, with that, let's keep going. We talk about all, and the next thing I'll talk about is color contrast. And let's talk about the WebAIM color contrast checker, a website that I don't think I had up. So let's say I wanted to try like a bluish kind of color. All right. And here, let's see what I can do here. So let's try, like, this is a nice dark black. There's going to be enough color contrast, right? Because a lot of students will struggle with color contrast. And I go to my color here, and let's say I go with like a nice, like, light cyan, or here, I'll do a custom, and I'll go blue. Let's go like a bluish. Here we go. And I'll go here. And notice it gives me the hex code. Every color on the World Wide Web has a 6-character alphanumeric hex code. All you need to know is you copy that. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to set it to that. And then, oh, that looks a little grayed out, but the color contrast checker will tell me that for sure. And let me just zoom out this a little bit. So here's my background color. Here's my foreground. Right now it's passing all the texts, but I'm going to paste that hex code there. And I'm going, and look, you see how it fails the tests? Oh no, what do? Well, here's what I do. I take my slider and I start sliding and starting to pass 2 of the 5 tests. Let's see if we can pass all 5. Well, almost there. And we are there. Actually, I think I might have been, we're now to 7.99 to 1 color contrast. There we go. And now I could take this and I can copy that. I can go back here and I can change my color using that custom again. And I'll delete that and I'll paste the new one. And I'll click, and I'll just click out of it and click OK. I don't know that I actually did it. I always struggle with that. No, that should have worked. Hold on. Okay. All right, just want to make sure I did it. There we go. Now it's working. Notice it's a darker color there. And I go in there, and now that actually passes, right? So that's a great way, because I know teachers want to use colors and they want to have themes and they want to be artistic, and it doesn't work if students can't read it, right? So color contrast. All right, we talked about those. Those are just general tips across Google Workspace. Now let's talk about Google Classroom, and I might take this over to the side, and let's go into Classroom. So in Classroom, I have just a couple tips for you. And the first one is, when we create an assignment in Classroom, I want you to remember that there's you can always differentiate. We always can do this. And that, by the way, goes for stream posts, it goes for questions, it goes for materials, it goes for assignments, it goes for all of it. You can determine which student sees what. Welcome, we got one joining, and I'm going to give you real quick the agenda, which is right here. As you can see, I had a little fun with the YouTube link in the agenda, but I'll just do that real quick. There you go. So in Classroom, in any post, but typically assignments, if you want to differentiate an assignment, you click all students, and there you get a drop down. And I'm in a demo account right now, so I don't have a list, but you can check mark who you want to see that. That's great for group work. It's great for just differentiating. A student needs a certain scaffold that wouldn't be included with the main assignment. Great, you can do that. Now, I know that sounds a little tough. Oh no, I'm gonna have to do multiple, I'm gonna have to recreate the same assignment all the time. Well, yes and no, because there's always reuse posts. You can always reuse a post. And so if I've created an assignment that's, say, maybe going to the 25 students who don't need accommodations, Now I can now reuse that post to create basically the same thing with a few adjustments for the 5 students who need accommodations, or if 3 students get one accommodation, 2 get another. I can mix and match. That reuse post makes it pretty doable. The other one that I want to talk to you about is adding a co-teacher, because part of including students is making sure that those that are there to support those students have access. And so that we do with the People tab, and we click the plus button, and there we just email anyone who would be, an inclusion teacher, something like that. So when I left the classroom before, they added this, and ooh, I wish I had it. Such a nice feature. Welcome, Shannon. I'm just going to put the agenda in the chat. We are at the Google Classroom part. And so that is so very, very, very useful. And I highly recommend taking advantage of that, adding that co-teacher. You can do that here in the People tab. And yeah, like I said, it auto-populates, so it's very easy and doable. All right, can we talk about Google Docs? Let's talk some Google Docs. And I will do this in our agenda. You can tell I really like playing with the agenda, so let's do it in the agenda. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to show you is voice typing. And we know that for a lot of students, this right here, mine's wired, so I don't want to, all right, I didn't break anything at my desk. This can be a real challenge, right? And so, oh, that actually made my lighting nicer for a second. And we want to empower students to be able to type, but if we know it's going to be a challenge, what tools can we use to give them more opportunity? And this is the tool known as voice typing. And so all we need to do is go to the tools menu. The tools menu in that menu, not add-ons, in Docs is actually very, very powerful. I'll just say that real quick. It's very powerful. Let's do voice typing. Now, it defaults to English US, but what if I wanted to type this in Spanish? Okay, as long as I'm willing to scroll past this plethora of languages. And by the way, Spanish, I can either do Espanol or I can do in España, in Mexico, whichever country it's right. I'll just do mine in English right now because my Spanish is very much lacking. Either way, let's just do this real quick. And yes. My name is Tom, period. I am speaking to teachers in Texas, period, new line. What will we learn today? Question mark, new paragraph. We will learn all the great things teachers can do to include students using Google Workspace, exclamation point. And I click off that. And this is what we get. And here I get new line. And I think the new line here is because my spacing, that all depends on your spacing. You go to format and you go to line spacing. Oh, that's saying, oh, okay. Oh, hold on. Format, line spacing, remove space after paragraph. That's what that does. But I'll actually leave that because I think that's easier for you to see. So my name is Tom. Tom's capitalized. Texas is capitalized. What will we learn today? Question mark. And then new paragraph, dropped it down. And the exclamation point work, Google, it doesn't recognize Google Workspace as a proper noun just yet, but Google it does. I think this is fantastic. I get that you're speaking in a way you normally wouldn't, but if you want to help students with grammar, if they have to think out what the punctuation is, this helps. Now, typically you'd have to clean this up a little bit, but again, I'd say that's a great opportunity. You get your thoughts on there, and then it's a lot less work. Right here, let's see if I right click, nope, that's not going to help me. All I need to do is do that capital and we're good to go, right? So that to me is really nice. I like that voice typing in Docs. All right, what else do we have here? We have translate document. So we need to communicate with families, and that maybe that family doesn't speak English. Fine, tools menu again. I love the tools menu. And we go to translate document. And again, and it makes a whole new copy, so it doesn't do anything to your original. And again, the amount of languages. And so we got, let's see, well, oh, for this one, it looks like does it only do Spanish? Oh, it doesn't do Spanish by country on that one. Interesting. But either way, that's pretty powerful. That's pretty good stuff. So you translate document, very nice way to include families. And then spelling and grammar. So you do have spelling and grammar in, you have options, including show spelling suggestions, show grammar suggestions. These are typically turned on. I highly recommend leaving them on. The other thing you can do is you can make suggested edits. So you as the teacher can make suggested edits or collaborators can do this. So for instance, let's say I said, let's say I wanted to add my last name here, but I wanted to make it a suggested edit. So I can either change this editing pencil to suggesting, and then I type okay, and I have that. And then here, maybe I'll say something like, let me go back to edit mode real quick. So now I can accept or reject that there, or right here, I can, let's do here, I can do a comment or I can do a suggested edit, same thing basically. So now I'm suggesting, and I will say, and Chrome extensions. All right. So again, I have that ability check or accept. And then under tools, I have a review suggested edits, which it's going to show these, and then I can reject. I can do preview if I accept all, preview if I reject all. So preview, accept all, this is what it would look like. That's kind of, these are just really nice things that you can do with your kids. Pretty nice. I'm actually going to leave those up for a second because I think I'll get to something else that will kind of touch on that. All right, we got to go. We're running out of time here. Let's talk about Google Slides, can we? So the next one in Google Slides, let me bring up our slides real quick. So first one, voice typing doesn't exist in the body of the slide. It does appear in speaker notes. So if you want to give a student who has motor issues the responsibility for the stage directions and speaker notes, one way of doing it, I'll just do it real quick. Tools, voice type speaker notes, click to speak. This is Tom, period. I am voice typing the speaker note, period, new line. This is so much fun, exclamation point, new paragraph. What will we learn next, question mark. And oh, it did get it. For a minute, it was said the words new paragraph, but then it figured almost by context clues, huh? Anyway, so there you go. That is some good stuff there. Next one. In presentation mode, we have captions. So you can use these when you're presenting so that your kids see. So I'll hit present. And I will click the three dots and we'll do captions preferences and we'll do text size. I want to do them text size extra large. Oh, did I not put them on? And toggle them on. Not boggle the mind, toggle them on. So that was not very good. But as you can see, it is getting what I'm saying. It does not pick up profanity. So if you have students using these, it will not pick up or it won't type profanity. And it also doesn't do those. It did do the there. Oh, it usually doesn't do. So if I say and well that okay. I don't know. We should just all right. Anyway, it typically doesn't do the verbal pauses. Maybe it's having a hard time tonight, but that is caption modes in Google Slides. Love it. Toggle those off. All right, let's keep going with slides. Moat. So adding audio to Google Slides is great, but it's a little bit cumbersome because it has to be in Google Drive. It has to be set to anyone with the link can view. Moat Chrome extension puts this button right here. And I will say, whenever I do this, lately when I've been doing this, it's finicky. Oh my goodness. I signed into you at like 2 hours ago. I was like, okay, I'm signed in. I'm signed into Moat. Now it's doing this. Okay. Oh, Moat, thank you. Let's do it. I am adding audio to this slide. Now, I want you to think about all the things that your students, especially your elementary students, having a little audio bug, having a little play button next to an image or something like that, and it just works. I mean, if you click on that right now on the slides, you're going to hear it. And it puts that, I love that purple sound icon. It's like really nice. Oh, it's great. So adding audio to Google Slides, making things more multimodal. I love it. All right, next thing, Google Forms. The one thing I'm going to tell you to be more inclusive in Google Forms, please, please, please do me this one favor. Now, see here, I got some questions. How many times are your entrance tickets and your exit tickets? And I got a question here. Hold on. Catherine says, do viewers also? Okay. Here's the deal. What's why I'm showing you two in slides, because in slides, no, anybody can hear the sound you insert on a slide using Moat. Anybody can hear it. You'll be able to hear it right now. Now, you can use Moat to add audio to Google Forms, and that's fantastic, but the kid needs to have it installed. So yeah, I know some districts are a little dicey about doing Chrome extensions. So I mean, I recommend it for having kids install it, but you just want to be careful. Okay. This Google Form. Google Forms, how often are they just text and pixels, right? It's such a lost opportunity for our kids. What I need you to do when you do Google Forms is I need you to add images, okay? So here I added an image to each one of the choices. On the second question, I added an image just to the question. Because what that does is that when that student, oh, we're doing it this way. When that student does that entrance ticket, that exit ticket, that things fire, synapses fire, right? And by the way, you see here, I have the ability to record. It's pretty cool. But all parties need to have the Moat extension for it to really work as intended. But you see here, I'm putting images with the names, help it make it more sticky. Now, the way you do that is any question or answer in a Google form, anytime you're in the field of the text, right there, and you can do from your webcam, you can do Google image search. This is pretty good stuff. You can upload, you can do from your Google Drive. So please, please do that. All right, let's talk about Google Meet real quick, shall we? I know we get Zoom and Meet today. What did you all do to deserve this? All right, so in Google Meet, I'll just start a new meeting and start an instant meeting. Get my slides over here. Okay. Now, by the way, I have my camera off and that's fine because I'm using it for the Zoom. If this doesn't look familiar to you, this is the new Meet interface. It'll be rolling out to you soon. For closed captions, now the user has to do this. You can do it for yourself, but the individual user does it for themselves. Turn on captions, and they are going to be very similar to what you have in slides, presentation mode, but also it puts the name of the person who spoke it on there. So that is really, really nice. You see there, it says you, and it's got my profile picture. Similar deal with captions. So this is captions in Google Meet. I highly recommend using them. They're great. All right, end the call. All right. And the last one before we get into some Chrome extensions, I wanted to show you I'm pretty sure we're going to do this in Google Slides. Yeah, or Google Sites. So Google Sites are fantastic. It's a great web tool. You can have a lot of fun with it. Students can use it for real world projects, for digital portfolios, but sometimes students need scaffolding, don't they? You know, creating a website for a sixth grader might be a very new and foreign concept. So what you can do under the insert menu is you scroll down a little bit and you get something called placeholder. And if I click that, I just get this. And I can click this plus, and I can put anything there. But as a teacher, if I'm collaborating and I'm a fellow editor in this website with a student, I can click the settings gear and I can set this to be, I want a Google Doc here. And then here I'll put a placeholder again. I'll just move it back up and I'll say, I want your, always got to hit the settings gear. I want your Google Slides here. And, I can, as a teacher, I can then, or as a user of this, I can click the text box. And by the way, as you can see now, there are rich text editing features here, including bullets, including different fonts. You can install your Lexicons just by clicking more fonts, just like you could in Google Docs. And I could put directions here, something like insert the report here, then replace this text with a label. And then when the student goes to here to click the icon, notice it's the Google Docs icon and this is the slides icon. But here, if I click on that, only my docs come up. Such a nice, easy way to do a placeholder and just give a little scaffold. It's really just, I think it's just nice for everybody. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Here, if I click on this one, Google Slides, only my Google Slides come up. And I just wanted to show you, so I'll just do one more placeholder. That with the placeholders, when we hit that settings gear, you can set it to Google Maps. So if they have Google My Map, you can set it to that. Google Calendar, Forms, an image, or you can just leave it as any content. Any content is the default, doesn't make it very helpful. I like setting it to something so that, if you set it to say Google My Maps and you click update, when the student clicks this icon, they can only do Google My Maps, or they can just like make a map, I guess, right here. I don't know. Or they can, look, they can make a map. It says drop a place mark. So that's kind of cool. All right, we have a little less than 8 minutes and we're going to talk about some Chrome extensions, right? Because we love our Google Chrome. A lot of kids have Chromebooks, super useful. And the first one I'm going to talk about is actually read and write for Google Chrome. And I think they just call it read and write for Google. And it is free for teachers with activation. That link is ready for you in the agenda and on the slides. And it will just read aloud. And I don't know if you're going to hear this, but I'll just click play. Oh, and it did it. I heard it. All right. Anyway, the play features are going to be available for students, even if they don't have the premium. I also really like these highlighters because the highlighter just directly, oh, hold on, I have to do it this way. It just directly highlights it. Oh, it made the text? What happened? Oh, it's changing the text. I have to do something with my settings. Clear highlights, thank you. Or something's going on with my settings because typically that acts as a highlighter. So I don't know what's happening. Anyway, yeah, because I don't want that. No. I want that to be black so you can all see it. Anyway, read and write for Google Chrome, kind of like a really useful tool that is very, very helpful. The next one is called Grammarly, and I like Grammarly a lot. So with Grammarly, let's go to, it works in Docs, although I hope it will work in Docs long-term. They're doing something in Google Docs where they're making it so that Chrome extensions won't work in it. So I don't know if Grammarly is going to do an add-on or something similar to that. But it definitely works in Gmail. It will work. I think it will work in Google Forms if you have like a longer answer question. But what I like about it, so here I actually copied some text from an email. I'm actually taking my first flight of since the pandemic started later this week. And so you see here, it says your face covering must be worn invisible at all times, including when you sleep. And so what I did is I copied that sentence from an email and I changed 2 words to be wrong. I made visible, visible, and I made while you sleep to sleeped. All right, so it's giving me correct your spelling. Here, I'll do these 2 corrections. These are both spelling. Let me see, it's actually thinking, it's like generating like while you sleeped. Oh, that's not right. It will also while you sleep. Oh, that's weird. And then let me do a past tense here real quick. Let me see if I can do this. So I presented Oh, I will presented the session tomorrow. Let me see if Grammarly will catch this. And it will. It catches it. It should be will present, right? And then here it says change the verb form. I love it because not only does it help you with the corrections, but it's going to tell you what the mistake is. And I get it. Maybe a lot of kids will just blow by and just correct. But it's nice that it gives you that piece to help you with that. Like I said, right now it works with Google Docs as well, but I don't know how long that's going to stay. We're going to kind of, if it's still working with Google Docs in the fall when school resumes, then you can use it in Google Docs because they've figured out how to make it work. One last one that I like a lot is called Immersive Reader. And so Immersive Reader is a tool from Microsoft. It lives, if you use Microsoft tools, it lives in like Word and PowerPoint. It also lives on a couple of nice websites I really like, such as Flipgrid, which makes sense because it's Microsoft, but also ThingLink. What it does, it'll read to your students, but it will do so much more. And so someone made an Immersive Reader Google Chrome extension. Is basically an emulator of Immersive Reader. So you can apply it to any website you look at in Google Chrome. Let's look at how it works. And notice, by the way, I don't have it up here in my shelf, or I guess shelf is not the right term, but with my other Chrome extensions, you don't need it. Let me show you. So I have this article here about Shirley Chisholm, and let's say I want to have this text here read to me by Immersive Reader. So I will right click on it and it will say, help me read this. And that's what we want. So I click that and let's make sure that worked. All of a sudden, hold on. Immersive Reader always works. I don't know what's going on. I'm having a little, give me a second. This website seems a little, come on. I may hit refresh or we may go somewhere else. Well, I'm a little, nope. Well, I don't know if it's history.com or what. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. And I just Control-Shift-T. That's a great, Control-Shift-T is my favorite keyboard shortcut that reopen something. I'm gonna try this one more time. I had Immersive Reader going, right click, help me read this. That's what we want. It should work once we're in Immersive Reader because Immersive Reader is pretty lo-fi. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So here I can click the play button. So you see that, right? It does that. It's reading it to me. Now, the only problem with Immersive Reader is this. Right here, there's voice settings. The voice speed is fantastic because you can slow it down or speed it up, which people do with YouTube videos and podcasts. What I hate is this right here, the gender binary, that you have to choose between female or male for voice selection. I really wish they didn't do that. Don't like that. But other than that, this is a great tool. Text size, themes. Down here, you can change the color of speech. You can make things syllabic. And then over here, you can translate into many different languages. Again, that seems to be a focus of our a recurring theme. You can do a line focus when you read. Oh, I made it too fast. Oh, I wanted to do, oh, okay. And then it sets up it's got this common noun thing where it does, oh, typically it shows you, hold on. No, I'm a little surprised at that. Public, there we go, public, speaker, there we go, yeah. So that's some good stuff. All right, with that, I hope this was useful for you. Oh, Immersive Reader is included in Pear Deck. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Thank you for sharing that. What we're going to do is I'm going to open it up for questions, but I'm also going to have you all do a feedback survey for me. The feedback survey, I'll drop the link in the chat, and I will also stop the recording. So feedback survey. And I will leave that on. Let me stop the recording and also entertain any questions, whether it be in the chat or if you want to turn on your mic.